So for this ornament, we need the following materials. We will need, this is a 4-inch circle of fabric, and then we need a 2.5-inch circle, and this one I have backed with fusible web, just a smaller one, 3.5-inch of circle of batting. Okay, this as far as, and a square of yellow fabric for the beak. This is 1.5 inches. Okay, there as far as the fabric. Then we will also need several lengths of ribbon. I've cut, let me see, maybe from 8 to 10 pieces, about 4 inches long. Okay, embroidery floss for the hanger. And then we will need a couple of black beads for the eyes. And optionally, if you want some additional beads for embellishment. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is applique this circle. The circle with the fusible web, we're going to center it on the larger circle and applique it. And actually, you can center it in one direction, but in the other one you want to bring it down just a little bit. I'm going to make one edge a little bit wider than the other one. Just a little bit, and it doesn't have to be too much. Okay? So, I'm going to applique this with a blanket stitch. Okay, so I've appliqued this down. I've used a contrasting thread, and I have also pressed this in half so I could get a nice crisp edge. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside for the time being, and next I'm going to tack these ribbons together just to make it easier to work with. And so in no particular order, I think I've got 3 or 4 different colors here. I said you can use, I would say, 8 to 10 lengths of ribbon. I'm just going to thread these. Okay, so I've got them on one end, and then I'm going to tack them on the other end too. And it really doesn't matter what we want to do is just form loops. It doesn't matter in which particular order. So just go whatever order is easier for you. And it doesn't matter if they're twisted or if they follow the same order. All that we want to do is the ends on both sides. We want to be able to hold them in place together. Okay? Because then you're just going to fan this open anyway. Okay, so what we want to do is just help us hold this in place. And I'll just give it a couple of stitches just to keep it all together. Okay. So that's ready to be attached. And then the beak, I said, was made out of this is a 1.5 inch square of fabric that we're going to fold twice, corner to corner. Okay. And this is going to form the beak. On the one hand, though, it is going to be a little bit big on one side. So it is always best to clip one side, and then we can fit it in a lot easier like that. So we're going to take our applique circle and fold the piece of batting and tuck that inside. So you see it doesn't reach all the way to the edge. We need a little bit of space to be able to sew this closed. Okay. And then on this side where we left a little bit more space is where we're going to tuck in the beak. And we will, let's see, hold it in place with the pin. Move down just a little bit. Okay, hold it in place with a pin. And we'll do the same on the other end with the ribbons. I'm just going to tuck them in and hold them in place with a pin also. Okay. Now here you have several choices of how you want to close this. You can do a blanket stitch, but I find that doing this on the machine, it doesn't really leave a good edge. But you could hand stitch this closed with a blanket stitch, and that works really well. Or the way I'm going to do it, I'm just going to do a little running stitch to close it. It's an ornament. It's not going to be washed. It's not going to be getting a lot of wear and tear. So I'm not really that concerned about the edges being raw. So I'm going to go ahead and run this little running stitch to enclose the beak and the tail feathers and just close the whole piece off. So here's the sewn little bird. The only thing left to do then is to attach a hanger for the ornament. I'm going to use a length of 6-strand embroidery floss. And at this point, if you want, you can also add some embellishments, which I'm also going to do here. I live in a country known as the land of Tagua, which is also known as vegetable ivory. And so we can get some really nice beads and buttons made in Tagua. So I'm going to use these Tagua beads. So I'm just going to first run my strand through the top and thread the beads. Okay, so now that that's done, I have to run this side of the length of embroidery floss back through the beads. I'm just going to run it through the second bead on. From here on, it has to, because the first bead is going to kind of hold it onto the ornament. So for that, I have to rethread my length of embroidery floss, and I find that it is easier to just use a threader. Okay, so once again go through the second bead on up. And then I can check the length. And all I'm going to do is just add a little knot up here. Trim. And there we have the finished ornament. So once again, this is a really easy ornament to make with just a few scraps of fabric, very little sewing, and a cute little bird for your tree. I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial, and thank you for watching.